Toxic best friend story time. So I had an off and on friendship with this one girl. In my freshman year, we became friends again. And she had this boyfriend named Nicholas. And they literally fought 24/7. And every time she would fight, she would be like, "Can you please fix this for me?" So she would have me add him on Snapchat, fix it, and then block him. And guys, this literally was happening like 5 times a week. And then after she asked me to do that the first few times, I realized she started going through my phone. And when I say my phone, I mean my whole motherfucking phone. A bitch was going through my Snapchats, DMs, text messages, and I didn't know how to confront her because that's just weird. So the one day I was getting ready at her house because we were about to go out, and she was like, "I'm grounded, can I use your phone real quick?" And I was like, "Yeah, just let me Snapchat this last person back." And she goes, "No," and rips the phone out of my hand. And she starts going through my Snapchat right in front of me. And I had a streak with this kid named Nick. She goes up to me and says, "What the fuck is this?" Like for part 2. Okay guys, I'm making the part 2 right now, and I'm literally laying in bed. I took off my makeup, and you guys have to realize that I literally do these videos at like 10 o'clock at night, and they get posted at like 1 in the morning, and then I go to bed at like 2. And for all of you commenting I'm clout chasing, bro, chill out. It's been like 3 hours. So anyway, she comes up to me and shoves the phone in my face and goes, "Who the fuck is this?" And I literally looked at her and started laughing my ass off. And she was like, "What the fuck is so funny, Kaylee, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Go ahead, hold on the name." And she held on the name and realized it wasn't her fucking boyfriend. So I packed up my things while she literally went and sat on her bed and started crying. She was like, "I don't want to lose my best friend." So fast forward, her and her boyfriend broke up. Her and I weren't friends anymore. And then she would always try to accuse me of getting with him. Moral of the story, don't get involved in other people's relationships. Bye, guys.
I have 2 kids, a daughter who's 30 and a son who's 27. Their mother isn't in the picture. I have a relatively high-earning job, and I was able to save $100K for each child to send them to college. My daughter received a full scholarship where her tuition and board was paid for, but I had to pay for my son's education and living expenses with the money I saved up. Both of my children knew I saved $100,000 for each of their college expenses, but my daughter got a full ride, and I told her I'd hold on to it until she wanted to use it for her wedding or a down payment for a house. So when my daughter asked me last week to buy a house, I gladly gave her the money. A few days later, I got an angry call from my son accusing me of favoritism and how I'm being unfair. I tried to explain to him that I just gave her the college fund I was saving up for her, which was the same amount as what I've given him for college. He still thinks I should have split the money evenly so it'd be more fair. But both of my kids are fighting right now. The money has always been my daughter's, and I already gave my son his share to pay for his college expenses. Both of them are college educated with good jobs, so it's not like my son desperately needs the money. So you guys tell me, am I the asshole in this case? Should I just split the money? My future mother-in-law is the absolute worst person I've ever met in my life. I'm 30 years old and my boyfriend is 31, and we've been together for 8 months. He's the sweetest and most caring man I've ever met in my life, but the biggest surprise is when I met his mother. I'm a natural redhead, so when we sat down for dinner, she asked me if my parents had the same color hair. And then she proceeds to ask me, does the carpet match the drapes? I looked over to my boyfriend, who seemed equally as shocked, but he didn't say anything. And when I didn't respond back, she said, "Don't worry, I'll ask my son about it later." She then went on to attack my appearance and said my hair was too curly and I really needed to learn how to run a brush through my hair and think about my appearance more when I'm out with her son. And when I lost my appetite, she told me it was a good thing that I'm watching what I eat because it would be a shame if I got any bigger. This was my first meeting with this woman, and as soon as I got into my car, I burst into tears until I got home. I told my boyfriend I needed some time. He went into apology overload, and this started by sending me flowers to my office every day and leaving me messages. He said he spoke with his mom and promised this would never happen again. With this reassurance, I decided to give it another chance. My husband and I were expecting our first daughter, and he suggested the name Tiffany, and I fell in love. When I asked what made him pick it, he said he saw it in a movie. I didn't think much of it, and so a couple weeks later, I called my sister-in-law to let her know we're going to name our daughter Tiffany. She was super surprised because she said she never wanted to name her child after her husband's high school girlfriend. I was really confused, but then she told me that they were together from sophomore year of high school to junior year of college. I knew he had a long-term relationship, but I never knew the girl's name. After hanging up, I confronted my husband, and he tried blowing it off at first, but eventually admitted that it was true. I told him I'm refusing to name my daughter after his ex-girlfriend, and he told me it's too late, I'm overreacting, and I can't change my mind since I'm only due in 5 more weeks. I basically cried to get as much information as I can when he finally told me that she had contacted him because she was getting married and was having second thoughts. My husband admitted that talking to her made him realize he never stopped having feelings for her, but he loved me too. The reason he suggested the name was because he knew he couldn't leave me to be with her, so he wanted something to honor her with. What do?
I was dating a guy for 4 years. We lived together for 3 of them and I thought he was the one. But then I found out that he was cheating on me, so I broke it off and moved out. 4 weeks after moving out, I started to get served with court papers. Apparently, while we were dating and living together, he stole my ID and social security number. I was shocked to find out that he had taken out thousands of dollars of debt in my name. He took out cash loans, opened and maxed out credit cards, leased vehicles, and even started a business. I had no clue until I was served with papers for non-payment. Since he would normally get the mail, he hid any paper correspondence and kept me in the dark. Any calls claiming I owed money, I chalked up as spam. By using my ID, social security number, and falsifying pay stubs in my name, he was able to put me over $500,000 in debt. You know that feeling when your world is crashing down faster than you can rebuild it? That's exactly how I felt. I had no other choice but to file for bankruptcy. I even had a detective from the DA's office in my county contact me, threatening me with committing fraud. I worked with them to give them as much information as I had, which cost me a couple $1,000s in criminal lawyer fees. I filed police reports for identity theft, but he was never arrested. And things just kept getting worse.
So this couple comes in together to buy an engagement ring, and they had a budget of about $20,000, which is a lot for an engagement ring. But the ring that she happened to pick out was about $35,000, which is a lot of money. And she was really adamant about picking it, and he was kind of reserved, like, it is a lot of money. But she's like, no, if you love me, you'll buy it, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, you know what? You're gonna be my wife, the mother of my kids, whatever makes you happy. So after they finally decide, I pack it up for them. I'm like, here you go. Have a great marriage. Have a great life. Goodbye. About 3 weeks later, the fiance comes in, and I'm thinking she just wants to get the ring size or something. And she's like, can you guys take out the diamond and replace it with a cubic zirconium? Cubic zirconium is a very cheap substitute for a diamond. So I was like, yeah, we can do that, but just give us 2 or 3 days. So she leaves, and I call her fiance because I was like, oh, this is really suspicious. And he had no idea that she came into the shop or that she was coming in. So he calls me 2 days later, and he finds out that she was going to break up with him. She would have kept that diamond, and she would have given him the fake one. He would have returned it, and he would have gotten no money back. Talk about mess. I was 21 when I found out I was pregnant with twin girls. My sister is 28 and has had 14 miscarriages. She's only had 1 successful pregnancy, which resulted in my 4-year-old niece. I'm not against having kids, but I definitely wanted to wait until I graduated with my degree and I was married to my significant other. From the start, my mom has been saying I should give my babies to my sister since she deserves them more than I do. And my sister completely agrees. I told them hell no, and my mom calls me a selfish bitch. Throughout my pregnancy, my sister has been begging me to give her at least 1 baby since I'm having 2. The last time I saw her, we were having lunch and she started babbling about keeping one of my babies, so I paid for my meal and left and haven't seen any of them since then. After I have my girls, I log on to Facebook to hundreds of threatening messages from my family and friends about how I stole my sister's babies and ruined her life. She posted a picture of her nursery that she had for my babies. There's so many posts about how generous I am for going through the pregnancy and giving my sister the babies. She told everyone I was giving her my babies, and she has my pictures of them in the NICU saying how she can't wait to bring them home. When my daughter was born, she had dark skin and looked like her parents could be of African descent. My husband was furious and accused me of cheating and left right then and there. He told everyone on both sides of the family what happened and wanted a divorce. Then his friends and families all called me to say how upset they were and called me really nasty names. My mother was by my side the entire time as I kept professing my innocence. He refused to pick me up from the hospital, threw my stuff out on the lawn, and changed the locks. When my sister called to get the baby stuff, he texted her a picture of a bare nursery room and said he got rid of everything. He even destroyed my art studio. Eventually, he agreed to do a paternity test, and he was 100% the father. No one could believe this, so he did it again, and he was the dad. One of his cousins did the ancestry thing and found out there was 30% of African in their family. This made Jim's paternal great-grandmother admit to having an affair around the same time Jim's grandfather was born, and because he could pass as hers, she just assumed her husband was the father. Since then, he's been reaching out and everyone has come to apologize. I told him I needed time and he asked to see the baby, and I let him, but I'm too afraid to physically hand her to him. I've never cheated and have been 100% innocent all this time. Am I the asshole for not wanting to give him a second chance?